Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
welcome to another podcast episode from your two investment realtors and go-to realtors.
Yes.
Today's episode is going to be a little bit of
Sleepy.
a sleepy one, some
Boring.
might say.
Yeah, but we have to talk about it. We can't always be fun.
We can't always have fun, Justin.
free.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
fair.
we got to get into like the bare bones of the math and the boring stuff,
Of
the
course.
numbers,
Of
stuff
course.
like that.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to talk just about what we see in the market,
Yep.
market rates,
Yep.
just the inventory, how it's moving, what the sales have been.
What the trends are, what we've been
Trends,
seeing, kind of
right?
what we've speculated last year around this time to what it is this year. And I mean, we could both agree it's been a really slow start.
This year's been very slow.
I mean, traditionally in our markets, we always kind of see like the highs and the lulls of, Christmas came.
Yeah.
Then it's usually traditionally slow until like the big spring market. I mean, when we were in that COVID frenzy, there was no
spring.
no, it was just
market,
go,
nothing.
go, pretty much.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering, like we've kind of pretty much gone back and forth with, okay, well, are we seeing traditional trends here now? Are we going to go back to, okay, everybody's holding in the cards and all these listings are going to drop in, March, April?
I think it's possibility. I mean, I could just tell you just from bare numbers I'm looking at right now, total residential transactions
Mm-hmm.
so far this year versus last year, we're already down 44.6%.
Which makes sense. I mean, it wasn't the COVID boom that we've seen wasn't traditional in any way, with our mortgage rates, what we've seen.
It was an
fixed.
artificial inflation where they lowered
popped.
the bubble. They lowered all the rates so
Yes.
low that people who never thought they would ever buy a house thought they could buy a house.
Which
they bought them.
Kind of in, I would say, false pretenses because, I mean, Bank of
Oh, yeah.
Canada, it was all told that, these mortgage rates are going to stay so low for a long time. And I mean, you fast forward, coming up the third year, that's not a long time. And now I think we were reading a stat that 45% of Canadians are on a variable are almost at kind of their trigger rate where they'll probably have to sell or figure out other means of maybe renting out rooms, maybe renting out the house themselves and then moving back in if they have family. So, I mean, it's not anything good or positive we're talking about, but I guess it definitely is good to kind of bring some light. I mean, in this world, we've heard all the gloomy stuff, and it's just...
Well, I mean, you could add that to food costs. You could add that to gas. You could add
We're
that
really
to,
trying to bring everybody down today. Yeah, that's fair.
We just read a stat this morning where a lot of families are going down to one car.
Yeah, a lot of people have pulled insurance on the second vehicle to kind of make ends meet. And I mean, you have to think with what it is. When people don't have money to spend, if all of their pay is going to just necessities, to drive their car, to get to work, to pay their bills, there's not much room for them to buy stuff to make the economy kind of flourish. So
which is another problem.
It doesn't really make sense that they're combating, the inflation with the interest rate. Yeah, obviously I get it. They'll always try and raise the interest rate to what it should have been or what it should be and not printing free money. But it seems like inflation hasn't gone down much.
Well, the things you buy on a day-to-day basis haven't gone down. They've gone up. So they might on paper show that inflation's gone down.
Everything else.
But
the price gouging's still there.
Price gouging's still there. Basket of goods is what they've always measured inflation with.
Absolutely.
I mean, they could just take things out of the basket of goods when they do and then add other stuff in. So it's hard to get a full read of what it really is. I always go with what you buy. If you bought something one day and it was $10 and you buy it today and it's 20, that's inflation.
Well, it seems like whether you're going to a grocery store, whether you're going to, restaurants or dining or even gas, there's no kind of rhyme or reason why it keeps going up.
Yeah.
So
or
I mean,
down.
We're not talking politics here. We're just talking about our everyday, what we're seeing in the market. It's like, so January 1st, 2020, on a 5-year fixed, interest rates were at 2.49, which, okay, that's not too bad.
Very reasonable.
And that's right before, we started hearing about this virus. And then as you follow the graph going down, okay, if we go down to June 1st, 2020, it's 1.9. Yeah. And then December of 2020 was 1.39. So, I mean, we bottomed out, it looks like, on a 5-year variable, February 1st, just last year.
Yeah.
Okay, or sorry, 2 years ago, at 0.99. Now, if we want to go and follow the graph going up, for that variable, August 1st we were at 3.5%, and we haven't stopped there. We're at right now on a variable for February 5th, 2023, 5.5%.
It's too big of a jump. It's too big.
It's not sustainable. We've seen when we were pulling our stats, people's mortgages on a variable have doubled.
Yeah.
So a $1,500 mortgage this time last year is now running you over $3,000.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not a matter of, okay, do you make good money or not? When your housing cost to pay a mortgage is $3,000 or $4,000, not taking in your insurance, your gas,
property
insurance,
taxes,
just everything, wear and tear, and you obviously want to have some form of life. What kind of sustainable life do you have?
Can't.
All your costs are going to housing. I mean, something's got to give.
Even the stress test didn't account for this big of a jump.
No,
when they got to prove that the 1.2s, 1.3s.
Yeah, it's scary. And I mean, we talk all hypotheticals. They say that there's another interest rate coming in March, and then supposedly it should level off, not raise it, and then maybe by next year we might. I don't know if we'll see them coming down, but maybe, a little less than what they are. I mean, rates should be around the 3 or 4% to be sustainable.
It's a healthy number.
Yeah.
That's a healthy number.
When we were talking the other day with our coworker, he said it best where he's like, well, with that, the rates being so low, somebody's not getting paid. I mean, you're just printing free money. It's not sustainable. No, and we see it's not sustainable. No. So the people now in this market are serious buyers. I mean, we've even had lots of clients, let me know when you see the foreclosures. Another stat we had pulled up on foreclosures, I think there were 11 in total within this year in Toronto. Okay. So they sold out of those 11 at 96% of list.
That's not giving away the farm.
No, for a foreclosure, you're thinking, okay, this house is 5. I'm going to scoop it up for 3, 4.
Yeah.
So when you're buying foreclosures pretty much for list, and they were bidding wars, I don't think that this hype that everybody's saying is the market's going to keep going down the market. I think this is kind of our new norm, and it's not. We've essentially bottomed out. Like, I mean, prices aren't going to go back to pre-COVID days.
We're price-wise, it says here, year over year, we're down about 16.4% in the GTA. That might be it. Like you said, I don't think it's going because the supply isn't there.
No, and that's not to mention these aren't the prices. The new norm aren't what they were pre-COVID. No. They're still higher.
Yeah, it's a new established norm.
Yeah,
so it'll never go back to the way it was. It can't, right?
No.
I mean, just looking at, we have all these just seasonally adjusted numbers. We're down 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Year over year of total new listings is down almost 4%, 3.7. Sales to new listings ratio down 30%.
Yeah, and like these aren't small. Like these are significant.
These are big numbers. Property days on the market. This is now obviously even in the boom, it was a little bit of an artificial days on the market because everybody was holding off offers, so you automatically got about 5-6 days on the market.
Yeah,
just naturally, but. It went from 18 days on the market average
to 30 something
to 41.
41.
It's up 127.8% days on the market.
That makes sense.
If you're really thinking about that, if it's taking you 41 days to sell your house at below to almost 16.7% below market value of what it was in the peak, plus there's not many houses on the market. That's quite a long time, right?
From what we've seen too, we've seen some offer dates in the market in the different areas, and we've seen some listings already selling over asking.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of inventory. So I mean, it'll be curious to see. I think even when in a spring market where we get flooded with new listings, I don't think there'll be multiples and over asking, but I don't think that they're going to go as cheap as everybody thinks. Because like we said, we've spoken to mortgage brokers who have told us that they've done a bunch of pre-approvals in December and January. And these people in this market know what the interest rate is. They know this is time in the market. These people are serious. So there is no messing around. Yeah, obviously you're going to probably, I wouldn't say kick tires. You're not going to go in at what their list is, but you're not going to get these, $500,000 houses that are close to $1 million. You're not.
No.
That boat sailed. I don't think it's coming back. And I mean, like we talked about in our other podcast, whether it's an investment or we have a lot of people we know, clients and friends that are moving out of Ontario, going different provinces because, places like Windsor, places like Quebec, all those places are still kind of
they're more affordable.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the same job you could have here, you could have there with, the cost of living being a lot less and a lot significantly better. So, I mean, it's really tough. Like we always say, there's no crystal ball. in real estate, you don't know where the market is till it comes and goes, which is what we see. The whole COVID frenzy, that bubble popped.
We're not even sure it bottomed out yet.
No, and this is all hypothetical. This is strictly all of our opinion and just
speculation.
What we read, what we talk about, what we see in the market, speaking to mortgage brokers, and kind of just doing our own homework. I mean, numbers don't lie. We see the numbers have stayed pretty consistent. And for me, the fact that prices are still higher than they were pre-pandemic tells me that prices aren't going to go back to those lower numbers.
Yeah.
We might still see it obviously in a declining market, a couple percent here, a couple percent here, but I don't think it's going to be what it used to.
You need sellers to give away their house.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And how many sellers want to give away their house?
Well, how many do we know that we've worked with that said, hey, sell our house, but give it away for free? And we've gone, okay, no problem. We can do that.
There's been quite a few.
Yeah, there's been quite a few in our dreams.
Well, you know what they say about dreams, right?
No. So, I mean, yeah, this is basically the speculation, variable, fixed. There's so many pieces to the puzzle of, like you had said, we have the inflation cost, we have the grocery cost, you have prices through the roof. There's a reason that more millennials are living at home or have moved in within the past year.
100%. Because so many people move back in.
It's not sustainable. So it really isn't.
What are your thoughts if somebody were to ask you like fixed versus variable?
So the people, from what we've been told and what we've seen, the people on variable right now that have kind of kept taking it on the chin, from what we've been told from mortgage brokers and, our own speculation is if you can ride it out a little bit longer on the variable, ride it out, because then it should stop and potentially not come down crazy.
That's what they were saying.
But come down a little bit. If it's to the point where you're at your trigger rate and you're going to have to sell your house, reach out to a mortgage broker, maybe lock it in for a fixed year or two, see where it goes. Know that you could possibly lock in at a higher rate once the variable starts down. So it really is a double-edged sword. I mean, we know self-employed people that are amortized a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, paying a really high monthly rate to pay it down. There's no one size fits all. I mean, there's so many different things. We're not professionals in the mortgage. Obviously, we know.
We know because we see it.
And we have to
work with
exactly. It a lot. But I would say if you're variable and you're at your trigger rate, you reach out to your mortgage broker and figure it out right away.
Up. I mean, you're gonna have to pay the penalty if you break it or do whatever. But I mean, depend what they could do.
Exactly. I mean, we're on a variable and we're kind of riding the roller coaster. We'll give it a couple more months.
There's nothing we could do now.
No, I mean, we could lock it in fixed, but I mean, we're kind of risk takers, so we'll probably just keep it on the variable for a couple more months.
We enjoyed a good run with it lower, right?
Well, and that's
it evens out in the end. It always evens out.
That's just it. If you had a variable from when we were talking about those dates, let's say in 21, I mean, you enjoyed a long time of
It was a long time.
Pretty good payment. Now your payments are crazy. They're mostly interest and not principal. So I mean,
but don't feel bad about not locking one in.
No,
because a lot of people didn't know. Nobody really has a crystal ball to know
that's
when
the problem.
to lock it in. How do you know when to lock it in?
You don't. It's the same like now. How do you know when to switch over to fix or just keep riding it out?
The real shame is the people that had it fixed the whole time and now they're renewing it.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of like they lost out on both markets.
Well, I mean, if you were locked in on maybe a 4 or 5 year fix, the rates at the time weren't too bad. So I mean, you kind of enjoyed a little bit on it. But now it's like, okay, so either here's this crazy fixed number or here's this crazy variable number that's potentially going to keep rising in the next coming months.
That's a bit tricky.
And I mean, especially for most people, I mean, you're on a set income, so if you know your mortgage is $1,500 a month, you can't afford it going to $2,250, $3,000. So it's like we said, no size fits all.
No,
you have to kind of just gauge what your risk is, what works for you, and you life's simple. You make choices and you don't look back.
You can't look back. You can't live too much in regret, especially with stuff like that. And I mean, at the end of the day, even now with the mortgage rates the way they are and the house prices the way they are, it's still a pretty good time to buy.
Well, we always say the same thing. It's time in the market. It doesn't matter what's going on. So if you can afford it, whether you're renting it, whether you're living there, whatever it is, get into the market.
Get in. Even if you have to rent out the basement too. And find something else.
Yeah, we know a lot of people that, have an issue with that, or I wouldn't say that they think they're too good for it, but it's, some people just aren't comfortable with having strangers.
They don't want strangers in their house.
Which is totally understandable. But at the same time,
If you do it properly, though, if you soundproof it, you get that separate entrance in, separate driveway spot, kind of have it all ready to go in like another area. It can be pretty good.
Well, chances are they're paying probably half your mortgage, if not more.
Yeah, most likely.
Which is another thing that we always try and help out our renters to become owners, because at the end of the day, most people renting are pretty much paying a mortgage, so that's just not their own. It's always that down payment.
It's a down payment,
and that's why back at our one of our first podcasts, we talk about if you could get into the market at 5% down and just pay that insurable mortgage. Yeah, obviously you don't want to pay an extra amount, but if you're going to build more equity in 1 year of renting at $1,000, that's $12,000. That's for a 2024, it's gone.
You're not getting it back. It's gone.
At least you're paying your own mortgage. You're building equity, so you're either trading up or potentially cashing in, and then you've made money. I mean, there's a reason that real estate's always been kind of a sure investment all these years, over stocks, over bonds, over anything. It's always rendered a higher return. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Unless you're one of those, if you're unlucky enough to buy at the peak and have to sell at the down,
then you're.
That's like a 1 in a million. It happens obviously,
absolutely.
To people, but most of the time, if you sit on a piece of land for like at least 5 years, you're going to be making some money on it.
Tough times,
no matter what.
Tough times don't last. Tough people do, and I mean, I know it's cliche, it's corny, but just figure out what you got to do, and I mean,
that's all. It. That's all we could say. Any
absolutely.
Other advice?
No, I mean that's everything. I think we can.
That's the market so far. So things are looking down right now.
But when things are looking down, there's only one way to go.
Down maybe a little bit more, and then
come on, man.
So we'll go down a little bit more. Then eventually they'll go up.
Where's your optimism on this fine, beautiful, cold Monday?
It's Monday. It's Monday morning. It's a little chilly out. You're right.
It's a lot better than the cold snap last week.
Oh yeah, that was rough. That was a rough day.
So I mean, that's pretty much what it is, guys. We're gonna touch on some more videos on. We don't want to put them to sleep, but we also want to make sure we're entertaining and kind of giving knowledge, because a lot of people just won't ask, or not ignorance is bliss, but they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, and like, don't feel bad about calling your realtor just to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times we just shoot the breeze with everybody?
That's all we do.
That's part of our job. I mean, people feel bad. It's like, oh, I don't waste your time. It's like,
it's not a waste of time.
This is what we do for fun. We talk.
This is literally for fun.
And we love to explain, and we love to educate people. That's why we started this podcast.
Yeah, the more you know, the more tools you have to do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
It's just the way it is.
That's just it.
All right, well, that's another episode.
We're signing off. We'll be trying to hit up another video this week. If not, you can count on at least one video per week. Maybe a couple shorts.
A couple shorts. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Please give us some pointers, some topics you want to talk about.
Something you didn't like. We're always open to criticism. I mean, no, we don't take anything to heart.
It's the only way to learn.
That's it.
It's the only way to learn.
Until next time.
All right, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.